Zimbabwe cash crisis worse. Talking about Venezuela once again. Systemic important thanks. They removed the 1,000 called monetary awareness. Hey there, hope all is well. Back at you today with some more RT News updates. And so it's been a while since I've talked about the recent development of the Venezuelan petro cryptocurrency and how our government might respond. And so as of today, there's two senators that decided to write a letter to Stephen Mnuchin on the idea of trying to figure out what exactly we can do to derail or to stall or to interfere with the development of a currency that goes outside and around our sanctions imposed upon them. And so as you can see above my head, the fact that they use the word nefarious, that they feel very negatively about the idea of there being some type of alternative other than the dollar when it comes to trading petro, as well as Venezuela being able to pay their debts back in a reasonable form. And so as always, I have just one article I want to share with you dealing with this subject matter here, and then share my thoughts at the very end, as well as get your take on how this might pan out in the days ahead. So before I dive into that, as always, if you're new to RTD, I want to encourage you to click the subscribe button for more RT News updates, interviews, as well as live talks. And if you're new to Rethinking Dollar altogether, I want to encourage you to visit the RTD University page, where I put together all my prior interviews dealing with our monetary system, finances, as well as sound money. And so let's dive into that article. Here's the article here. It came out a couple days ago over the weekend. And so it's by the Washington Examiner. And it says, Senators warn about nefarious cryptocurrency use by Venezuela, Russia, and North Korea. And give you an idea what's going on here, it says, 2 U.S. senators want to know what Steve Mnuchin and the Treasury Department are doing to counter the nefarious use of cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin by Venezuela, Russia, and North Korea. It says Senators Marco Rubio and Bob Mendez sent a letter to Mnuchin on Friday, warning that Venezuela President Maduro was planning to create his own digital currency called the petro after the country's oil wealth. They asked whether the Treasury can modify existing sanctions on Venezuela to block Maduro. Quoted as saying, "We are concerned that cryptocurrency could provide Maduro a mechanism by which to make payments to foreign lenders and bondholders in the United States, actions that would clearly thwart the intent U.S. imposed sanctions," Rubio Mendez wrote. Venezuela's government was targeted with sanctions for a variety of offenses, including in violation of human rights, persecution of political opponents, and crackdown against the press. Maduro has proven he will use every tool at his disposal to perpetuate their authoritarian objectives, they wrote. It says Russia and North Korea, both targets of U.S. sanctions, have also shown an interest in taking advantage of cryptocurrency for nefarious purposes amid the recent global boom in Bitcoin, according to senators. It says Bitcoin and other new cryptocurrencies exist only in the virtual world and are traded outside the traditional banking system on digital ledgers called the blockchain. Rubio and Mendez want Treasury Secretary Mnuchin to reply by the end of this month to questions about what his department can do and how it is monitoring the possible threat. He's quoted saying, "We have serious doubts as to whether Venezuela has the capacity to launch a cryptocurrency, but regardless, it is imperative that the U.S. Treasury is equipped with the tools and enforcement mechanisms to combat the use of cryptocurrency to evade U.S. sanctions in general. In this case, in particular," Rubio and Mendez wrote. So here we have the idea that any country that wants to do things outside the dollar is labeled as nefarious activity or wicked. And so in looking it up, it says a typical of an action or act of wicked or criminal. So the idea that if a sovereign country wants to use the blockchain technology for their own use outside of the Federal Reserve note, it is considered wicked and a criminal act. And so just think about the idea that if they're considering such nations as Venezuela, Russia, and North Korea, all sovereign nations using the blockchain or the cryptocurrency platform as a way of doing business amongst themselves or to pay off their debts to go around sanctions, what would make me think that they would allow us as citizens to continue to use this technology without having some type of control over it or some way to monitor it or just some way of keeping track of how citizens themselves do business. So that's just something to think about. But the idea that it's considered wicked or a criminal act for countries to want to develop and use this technology for themselves lets me know where they stand at and how concerned they are over the use of blockchain by other countries, even though Russia has reported that they're in the process of developing their own cryptocurrency to use along with that Eurasian pact they have with the surrounding countries in their area. So it's good to say this blockchain technology will be developed en masse by various countries. And when that happens, we'll see how wicked and nefarious all these other countries will be as they begin using these technologies outside of having to use the Federal Reserve note. So just want to take a quick minute to share this article with you guys and get your thoughts on this. And so the idea that by the end of this month, these senators are expecting some type of response from our Treasury Department. Not only are they concerned with the fact that these countries are doing things outside the dollar, but here in our own country, we're just not too long off of a shutdown that's only been extended for about 2 weeks to my knowledge, to where we don't have our own books in order, but yet we want to dip and dabble in other people's affairs, all in the face of trying to save the Federal Reserve note as the current global reserve currency. And so it's interesting to see how these gentlemen here really be concerned with other nations' issues in regards to being able to thwart sanctions, as opposed to them handling business right here in our own country. So just want to share this article with you guys. Get your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Look forward to reading your comments. Thanks.